Because when you are unnamed and have no identity, you are therefore unarmed. And a person that is unarmed does not possess the ability, the capacity, the ability to actually begin to demonstrate an identity. And so as an addict, there's always going to be this part of us that's a complete stranger, someone that we do not know, someone that we haven't introduced ourselves to, much less introduced to society. So we're always going to feel less than. And within each of us, there is this asshole, there's this addict, and there's this hero. The asshole being that dark, tyrannical, shadowy part that wants to keep us hidden in the shadows of life, and the addict being pride, ego, the part of ourself that wants to belong and be attached to some purpose, some meaning. And then, of course, there's the hero. And that's, as anything is a hero, to shed some light, to have a cause, to bring some meaning to our life and to other people's lives. But we're dealing with the addict part of ourselves and the complete stranger, not knowing ourselves, not introducing ourselves to our true self, our true potential, and the true meaning and purpose that we possess, the capacity to actually embrace the hero side of ourselves. But instead, we never introduce ourselves to our identity, our purpose, our meaning, and we remain hidden in the shadowy substance of that asshole part, that tyrannical, that devil, that evil, that malevolent part of our being. And we've all been to a party where maybe we would accompany someone and they don't introduce us, and we feel left in, we feel left out, we feel less than, we feel behind, we feel like we're left in the shadows. We feel like we have no name. And that's the asshole part of our essence that wants to keep us in the dark and keep us unnamed. Because when you are unnamed and have no identity, you are therefore unarmed. And a person that is unarmed does not possess the abilities, the capacity, the ability to actually begin to demonstrate an identity, to begin to demonstrate a person. And that's what we deal with as addicts. We have not introduced ourselves to our true self because, God, we're addicts. We have nothing to offer. So why would I feel comfortable in introducing myself to myself, much less introducing myself to society? And it creates this vicious displacement cycle where, well, I'm an addict because I don't know my true identity, so I just use. And then, well, I use because I don't know my identity. And then just this vicious circle of this and that and this and that, and it begins to make sense to the addict part of ourselves. And that asshole part of ourselves begins to utilize that and feeds on that and keeps us in the dark so that we never embrace the identity of our heroic side that's going to actually give us a name, an identity, a purpose, a meaning in life. So just like when you accompany someone to the party and they don't introduce you and you kind of feel like you're pushed to the outskirts of that party and that social gathering, that's the same thing as an addict. For whatever reason, we have came to believe that we're less than, we've came to believe that we don't fit in. So we're not introducing ourselves. We're not identifying with a particular identity or name or reason or purpose or meaning. And we're stuck in that shadowy substance of a nameless, unidentifiable person. And therefore, it's easier to stay stuck in what you do know, and that's your addiction. It's easier to stay in the dark and what you know and bump around in that chaotic fucking getting high and staying in your addiction than actually beginning to put in the work and introduce yourself as this is who I am. And that's the heroic part of the addict. Because the addict is just the pride and ego that's always looking to attach itself to something identifiable that's actually going to give it purpose, some meaning, some backbone with which to stand. And so there's two sides of the addict. The heroic side that wants to bring you forth and combat the evil and the darkness. And then there's the asshole side that doesn't want to introduce you. It wants to keep you for itself and keep you hidden away from your true potential, the heroic side of who you can be. So an addict is always going to stay stuck in that unidentifiable, nameless, unarmed persona of the asshole that wants to keep you hidden. And you can think of this as a boyfriend that goes to the party and doesn't introduce his hot girlfriend because he's afraid that someone else is going to take his hot, badass, unlimited potential girlfriend. So he keeps her hidden and maybe abuses her emotionally so she doesn't reach her full potential. And that's the addict once it begins to attach itself to the dark asshole side of who it is. The tyrannical, evil malevolence of addiction is that dark side that wants to keep you unnamed, unarmed so that you never reach your true potential. As an addict, we've got to begin to embrace the heroic side of who we can be. We got to quit looking down at our feet and looking at our current situation for what it is. And we've got to begin to look up and maybe above the horizon and look towards the stars and the potential of the heroes so that we can see what if. You're a fucking addict and it's worthless and you're in a worthless position and therefore you feel unidentifiable and you don't want to introduce yourself to society and you don't want to get to know yourself because you think you know who you are and all there is to know about you, and it's dark and it's shadowy and it's shitty and you don't want to unpile that. But that's the rule and principle of life. In order to truly find your potential and the hero within you, it takes looking somewhere that not everyone else is going to look. Look at all the heroes and the stories that we know and recognize. Maybe they start as some common thief, or they're not big and strong, or they're not anything that you would identify as a hero, but they stay the course and they realize that there is something that they need and there's something that they need to know that they don't currently know. And something motivates them to find that. Maybe they're upset with their current position. Maybe they're tired of being bullied. Maybe they're tired of this resonating call within them to be bigger, but they're stuck in the bullshit. And that's an addict. Truly unlimited potential, but the asshole side of us, the evil, the malevolence, the devil, the ignorance, the shadow, whatever you want to call it, keeps us in the unknown, keeps us nameless so that we don't identify with anything in particular. And we stay aimlessly wandering around, and it's easy to pick up the addiction that we've known for so long that is our comfort. But it's time that we stand upright, shoulders back, embrace the heroic part of you, because every person has it, especially an addict, because damn it, we've lived in the dark long enough that we know where the dragons are. We know who they are and what they are, and we know what evil is, and we know the malevolence and the pure atrocities that accompany the addiction day in and day out. So therefore, we know we are capable of being a hero. We know that a hero is needed. We know that society needs a hero. And if you begin to stand up and say, God damn it, I'm going to embrace my heroic side. I'm not an addict. I am merely a person that is going to attach that addict side of me to the heroic side of me, because everyone's an addict, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's addicted to the newest shoes, whether it's addicted to sex, whether it's addicted to keeping up with the Jones. Everyone has an addict side in them, and they have that asshole side that keeps them back from their true potential. If you want to release your true essence and become the person you were created to be, and quit fucking with that addict and the asshole that keeps it nameless and unarmed, realize the heroic side of you. Begin to embrace that. Begin to stand up and identify yourself. Introduce yourself to yourself. Introduce yourself to society. Begin to take that one step that makes you better, because you are an addict. And God, there is nothing truly remarkable about us in that sense. But we've got to begin to take the first steps that allow us to actually identify with something other than the asshole addict that keeps us paralyzed and crippled in the addiction. You are a hero. Begin to embrace the heroic side of who you are. Shed some light on each step that you take today. Make a decision that's better than the one you made previously. And know that you're a goddamn hero. Stand tall, stand upright, and make the decision to introduce yourself to yourself, and therefore introduce yourself and your potential to society as a whole, and become a badass hero that actually defeats the dark asshole keeping you imprisoned and that weak-ass addiction that's keeping you from who you want to be. Stand up and introduce yourself to the world. I'm Jaron Price. I'm an addict, but I'm also a goddamn hero that's kicking the asshole side of me in the ass.